$4,000. And I was the best man. Not the total. Not split across everyone. $4,000. Per person. From me. The guy making $38,000 a year with student loans and a rent check that already makes me nervous every single month. That was my brother. That was the phone call that changed everything. Let me take you back to how this started, because you need the full picture to understand why this hit the way it did. Jake is 26. His older brother is getting married later this year. And when that brother called him and said those 4 words, "You are my best man," Jake did not hesitate for a single second. Not one. Because that is his brother. That is the person he grew up with. That is the person he would do almost anything for. Almost. Now, before we go any further, I need you to understand something about the brother. Because this one detail rewrites every single thing that comes after it. The brother is obsessed with looking rich. Not being rich. Looking rich. We are talking financed cars he stretches himself thin to afford, vacations posted online that were funded by rotating credit card debt, constant money talk from a guy who is clearly stressed about money all the time. Jake has watched this pattern his entire life. Up close. In real time. He knows exactly what it looks like. So when the brother sits him down to talk about the Bachelor trip, Jake already felt something tighten in his chest. The room was quiet. Just the 2 of them. And the brother started talking like he was pitching a business deal. 3 days. Private villa rental. A boat. A personal chef for 1 dinner. Bottle service 1 night. Split 8 ways among the guys in the group. Jake did the math in his head before the brother even finished the sentence. $4,000. His hands went a little cold. And then the brother said the line. The actual line that Jake cannot stop replaying. He looked right at him and said, "I just do not want to look back at this and feel like we did it cheap." Did it cheap? Jake is sitting there with student loans. With rent. With a bank account that does not have a $4,000 cushion sitting in it waiting for a bachelor party. And his brother, who knows every single one of those facts, who grew up in the same house, who has watched Jake's financial reality up close his whole life, said he did not want to look cheap. Would you have said something? Right there at that table? Or would you have smiled and nodded and panicked quietly all the way home? Because I need to know. Drop it in the comments right now. Jake said something. He did not blow up. He did not make it a whole thing. He told his brother he loved him, that he wanted to celebrate him properly, and that he would put together an incredible trip the whole group could actually do without destroying themselves financially. He came back with a real counter. 2 nights. Good airbnb. Fun activities. A proper dinner. A night out. $600 to $800 per person. Not a budget camping trip. A real celebration. The brother looked at him and said it sounded like something you would plan for a 22-year-old. Jake quietly went and checked with the other guys in the group. Just to take the temperature. Just to see if maybe he was the only one quietly panicking. He was not. Not a single one of them was comfortable with $4,000. Not one. One guy had already been trying to figure out how to back out without making it awkward. Another one told Jake he was genuinely relieved someone had finally said it out loud. The group was never going to be the $4,000 bachelor party. That reality never existed. It lived only inside the brother's head as a version of himself he wanted to project to the world. But when Jake brought this back and told his brother honestly that the group could not do this, the brother said something that I think is the most revealing moment in this entire story. He said maybe Jake was not the right person to be best man. Stop. He used the title as a threat. The title he gave his own younger brother. The title Jake accepted without hesitation. He picked it up and turned it into a weapon inside of 30 seconds. And here is what I think everyone in the comments missed when they got fixated on the dollar amount. The $4,000 was never the real ask. Think about it. The brother already knew Jake could not afford it. He knew the other guys probably could not either. He asked anyway. He asked because he wanted the option to exist. He wanted to be able to point at the version of the bachelor party he deserved, and then let other people either bleed for it or be the ones who said no. Jake was never the best man. He was the logistics coordinator for a fantasy that was always going to collapse. And the second Jake stopped being useful to that fantasy, the brother reminded him exactly what his role had always been. Would you have stayed? After that, after he looked at you and said maybe you are not the right person. I genuinely want to know. Because this is the part where people split hard in the comments. Jake stepped down. No explosion. No big dramatic scene. He wrote his brother a message. Told him he loved him. Told him he was still coming to the wedding. Told him he hoped the day was everything he wanted. But said clearly and calmly that he could not stand in that role for someone who had just told him his loyalty was only as valuable as his credit card limit. The brother did not respond for 4 days. When he finally did, it was not an apology. It was a list. A list of reasons Jake was being oversensitive. A list of ways Jake had embarrassed him by reaching out to the other guys. A list of reasons why Jake was making the wedding season about himself. And then Jake wrote something at the end of his post that I had to read twice because of how quietly devastating it was. He said, "I do not think my brother is a bad person. I think he is terrified of being ordinary. And I think that fear has slowly turned him into someone I do not fully recognize anymore." That is not a Reddit post. That is a therapy breakthrough typed at midnight by someone who is grieving a version of his brother that maybe never fully existed. Here is what this whole thing is actually about underneath the money and the trip and the title. When someone makes you feel like your love for them is only as real as your willingness to sacrifice for them, that is not love asking something of you. That is fear. It is insecurity wearing the costume of entitlement. And it will keep asking. It will always keep asking. Because it is never actually about the thing it says it is about. Jake did not lose a best man role. Jake found out what role he had actually been filling this entire time. And saying no was not him abandoning his brother at the worst moment. It was him finally refusing to keep shrinking himself into the shape his brother needed him to be. He wanted the photos of a life. Jake wanted the actual relationship. Those two things could not exist in the same space anymore. So here is my question for you, and I want a real answer in the comments. Not just who was right. I want to know if you have ever been the Jake in this story. The one who said yes before the question was even finished. The one who found out later that yes was being used as a currency. Because based on how many people responded to this post, I have a feeling a lot of you know exactly what that feels like. Tell me below. I read every single one.